Alex Carter had been flying through the uncharted sector of the desert planet for hours. The reddish sand stretched endlessly beneath the pale sky, broken only by jagged rocks and occasional canyons. He tightened his grip on the controls of his small exploration craft, eyes scanning the sensors for anything unusual. His mission was simple: chart new areas, collect resources, and return home. But there was something in the air today that made him uneasy. A faint, irregular signal flickered on the ship's scanner. It wasn't the usual background noise or a malfunction. It was a distress signal, weak and distant. Without a second thought, Alex adjusted the ship's course toward the source. The signal grew stronger as he approached a deep canyon, shadows stretching long under the twin suns. The wreckage of a small hovercraft lay twisted at the canyon's base, half buried in sand. Flames licked the edges of the wreck, and thick smoke curled upward. As he scanned closer, movement caught his eye. A figure struggled near the wreckage. It was a woman, but unlike any human Alex had ever seen. Her skin had a bronze sheen, and her eyes reflected a strange amber light. Her hair, dark and tangled, framed a face marked with thin streaks of paint and geometric patterns. She wore light armor, worn and scratched, and carried herself with the poise of a warrior even in pain. Alex landed carefully, avoiding the scattered debris, and rushed toward her. "Hey, are you okay? Can you move?" he called, his voice echoing against the canyon walls. The woman groaned and tried to lift herself, but winced sharply. One of her legs was pinned under the wreck, and she was bleeding from a cut on her shoulder. "Hold on, I've got you," Alex said. He assessed the situation quickly. The wreck was heavy, but he could lift the debris enough to free her. With a grunt and careful leverage, he shifted the twisted metal just enough. The woman slid free, coughing and gasping. He helped her sit up and examined her injuries. The cut on her shoulder wasn't deep, but it needed immediate attention. Her leg was bruised and swollen, likely a sprain, and she could barely stand. "Can you speak?" Alex asked. The woman shook her head slightly, but pointed to herself and then to Alex, repeating the motion with her hands as if trying to communicate, though the meaning was unclear. He realized she wasn't just injured. She might not even speak a language he knew. Alex took out his med kit, cleaned the wound, and applied a dressing. She flinched at first, but then seemed to trust him. He checked her leg and fashioned a temporary splint using metal rods from the wreckage. "It's not perfect, but it will hold," he said. She looked at him intently, her amber eyes studying him, and nodded slowly. There was a spark of recognition, an unspoken understanding between them. He helped her to the ship, supporting her weight. "You're coming with me. We'll get you somewhere safe." She leaned into him without resistance, surprisingly light despite her warrior appearance. As he lifted her aboard, she glanced back at the wreck, as if acknowledging something she had lost. Once inside, Alex laid her on the ship's medbed. "You need rest," he said. "I'll monitor the ship while you recover." She looked at him and placed a hand on her chest, then pointed to him. He realized she was introducing herself in her own way. "Alex," he said, nodding. She repeated the motion, her fingers tracing the air, and he guessed her name was Naya. Hours passed as Alex kept an eye on the ship's systems and the canyon outside. He tried to communicate with her, speaking slowly, using gestures and showing her images on his tablet. Naya watched him with keen interest, occasionally mimicking his actions. Even though they could not speak the same language, a fragile bond was forming, a mutual understanding built on necessity and trust. By nightfall, the desert temperatures had plummeted, and the twin moons cast pale light across the sands. Alex had finally allowed himself a moment to relax in the pilot chair. He glanced at Naya, asleep under the thin blanket he had offered. Her breathing was steady, but the faint scars on her face and the determined set of her jaw made him realize she was more than just a survivor. She was a fighter. Exhaustion overcame him, and he drifted into a restless sleep. The ship hummed softly, a constant presence that made the canyon feel less hostile. When Alex woke, the first thing he noticed was weight on his chest. Confused, he blinked rapidly, trying to make sense of the morning light streaming through the cockpit. Naya was sitting on him, steady and calm, looking down at him with those intense amber eyes. His mind raced, shock and confusion mixing with concern. "Hey, what?" he began, but she raised a hand to her lips, signaling him to stay still. Her gestures were deliberate and careful. Through a series of hand movements and pointing, she made him understand. She had sensed danger. While he slept, she had felt a warning, something that told her not to leave his side. Alex struggled to comprehend. Danger? What danger? He asked. Naya pointed toward the sensors on his dashboard, then traced the air with her fingers in the shape of ships approaching. He squinted at the screen. Energy readings spiked on the edge of the canyon. Alien scouts were approaching. The same type of species that had caused minor conflicts in the outer sectors, known for their aggressive hunting of explorers and scavengers. Okay, Alex muttered, slowly sitting up. I get it. You saved my life again. Naya's expression softened slightly and she nodded. Despite the unusual situation, Alex felt an unexpected surge of respect for her. She wasn't just brave, she was instinctively aware, capable of making decisions that could save both their lives. He quickly prepared the ship for movement. The sensors confirmed multiple vessels approaching from different directions. Alex and Naya worked in tandem. He handled the piloting while she pointed out potential hazards and weak points in the incoming scout's trajectory. Her movements were precise, almost like a choreographed battle drill, and Alex realized she was trained to survive under pressure. As the scouts drew closer, Alex initiated evasive maneuvers. He weaved the ship through narrow canyon paths, barely avoiding jagged cliffs and sudden rock falls. Naya leaned over the controls when needed, guiding him with quick, confident gestures. Her instincts were uncanny, predicting the scout's moves before his sensors could even pick them up. Despite the danger, Alex felt a strange sense of partnership. He had always trusted human allies, but this was different. Here was someone from an entirely alien culture, yet their survival depended on cooperation and trust. He realized that humanity's strength wasn't just in technology or strategy. It was in adaptability, courage, and the ability to connect across differences. The alien scouts fired energy pulses at the ship. Sparks erupted on the hull and the ship shuddered violently. Alex gritted his teeth, pushing the craft harder, while Naya's calm presence helped him focus. She gestured for him to drop into a narrow canyon crevice, a risky maneuver, but it would provide cover. With a precise twist of the controls, Alex maneuvered the ship just as the scouts passed overhead, unable to follow him into the narrow passage. They emerged into a small valley, hidden from view. Alex exhaled, his muscles tense from hours of stress and the recent skirmish. Naya remained alert, scanning the horizon as if sensing more dangers. He watched her, amazed by her strength and awareness. "Thank you," he said quietly, still trying to process everything that had happened. Naya simply nodded, then pointed to him again, emphasizing the bond they now shared, a bond forged in survival and trust, beyond words. Night fell fully over the valley. The ship rested quietly on the sandy ground. Alex sat beside Naya, both of them looking at the twin moons reflected in the distant rock formations. He thought about how strange life could be, how unpredictable yet rewarding. He had rescued her, but in turn she had saved him, not once but twice. Alex realized that in the vast unknown of space, it wasn't just technology or weapons that ensured survival. It was courage, quick thinking, and the ability to trust someone completely, even if that someone was from a world entirely different from his own. As the stars twinkled above, he felt a sense of anticipation for what lay ahead. The scouts might return, but now he wasn't alone. And for the first time in a long time, he understood that sometimes the greatest strength came not from solitude, but from alliance, no matter how unexpected. Alex closed his eyes again, this time beside Naya, prepared for whatever challenge the next day would bring. He didn't know her language, and she didn't know his, but both understood a language older than words: survival, respect, and the unspoken trust that binds those who face danger together. And in that quiet valley, with the twin moons casting silver light on the sand, a human and an alien warrior rested, ready to face the universe as one. Alex awoke to the soft hum of the ship's engines and the quiet rustle of sand outside. The twin moons were low, casting a gentle glow over the hidden valley. He looked at Naya, who was sitting nearby, her amber eyes scanning the horizon as if she could sense every movement in the desert. Despite her injuries, she seemed alert and ready for anything. Alex felt a mix of awe and relief. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, and yet their partnership felt natural, almost inevitable. The peace didn't last long. His ship's sensors began to beep urgently, warning of approaching energy signatures. The alien scouts were returning, more cautious this time, circling the canyon from a distance. Alex tightened his grip on the controls, feeling the adrenaline surge. "Looks like they didn't give up," he muttered. Naya leaned over the console, pointing to the approaching ships and gesturing toward the terrain, clearly suggesting a strategy. Her understanding of the landscape was remarkable. Alex quickly realized that their survival depended on working together. He adjusted the ship's position near the valley walls, using the shadows and rock formations as natural cover. Naya guided him, pointing to narrow crevices and hidden paths that would allow the ship to move unseen. Every time Alex followed her instructions, he felt a growing respect for her instincts and intelligence. She was more than a survivor. She was a strategist. As the scouts closed in, Alex knew that evasive maneuvers alone wouldn't be enough. They would have to fight. Naya handed him a small, sleek weapon she had carried from her hovercraft wreckage. It looked advanced yet practical. Unlike anything Alex had seen in human design, she demonstrated its use with quick, precise movements. Despite the language barrier, her gestures were clear. He nodded, understanding that trust and quick action were essential. The scouts fired first, energy blasts streaking through the valley. Alex dodged and twisted the ship, using the canyon walls for cover. Naya fired back, disabling one of the scout drones with incredible accuracy. Alex marveled at her speed and precision. She wasn't just protecting herself, she was protecting him. Their coordination was instinctive, almost as if they had fought together for years. During a brief pause, Alex studied Naya closely. Her movements were fluid and controlled, a combination of strength and grace. Despite her warrior appearance, there was a calm intelligence in her eyes, a clarity that went beyond instinct. She wasn't reckless. Every action she took was calculated, and Alex realized that this was why her people had survived in harsh environments for generations. The scouts regrouped and approached again, this time trying to flank them from the canyon's side passages. Alex adjusted the ship, weaving through narrow rocks while Naya continued to direct him with gestures. She pointed out weaknesses in the alien formation, showing him where their defenses were thin. Alex followed her lead, striking at the critical points. Together, they managed to disable two of the approaching scouts, forcing the others to retreat temporarily. After the skirmish, the valley fell silent once more. Alex exhaled, running a hand over his face. "You're incredible," he said, though he knew she might not understand his words. Naya simply nodded, her expression calm but alert. She gestured toward the horizon and then back to him, indicating that their task wasn't finished. Alex realized that her warning the night before wasn't a simple act of instinct. It was a calculated decision based on her people's ability to sense danger and protect life. As they prepared for the next wave, Alex found himself reflecting on the bond forming between them. He had always prided himself on his skills, on being able to survive alone. But now he understood that survival was more than strength or intelligence. It was about trust, adaptability, and the ability to work with others, even those completely different from oneself. Naya had taught him that lesson without a single word spoken. The scouts returned, more cautious and strategic this time. Alex and Naya executed a coordinated defense. He piloted the ship with precision, while she used her weapons and instincts to predict the scouts' movements. Their teamwork was seamless, a blend of human ingenuity and alien intuition. Each time they struck, they weakened the scouts' formations, turning what could have been a deadly ambush into a manageable skirmish. After several tense hours, the scouts finally withdrew. The valley was quiet, and the sand settled over the remains of their attackers. Alex leaned back in the pilot seat, exhausted but exhilarated. Naya crouched nearby, checking her gear and surveying the area. Despite the danger, she seemed at ease, as if this was routine for her. Alex realized that while he had the advantage of technology, she had the advantage of instinct, experience, and an understanding of survival that went beyond machines. He finally asked, "Why did you stay on top of me yesterday? Why risk everything just to keep me here?" Naya's amber eyes softened. She gestured to the horizon, then placed a hand over her chest and pointed to him, repeating the gesture with urgency. Alex thought for a moment, then understood. She had sensed a threat to his life, a danger that might not have been obvious to human sensors. Her actions were not impulsive. They were deliberate, protective, and based on a deep understanding of risk and survival. Alex felt a wave of gratitude. He had rescued her, but she had saved him in ways he could not have imagined. Her reasoning left him speechless, not because it was strange, but because it was so profoundly human in its intent, protecting life at all costs. Using every skill and instinct available, they spent the rest of the night fortifying their position. Alex worked on repairing minor damage to the ship, while Naya scouted the surrounding area, her movements silent and precise. She returned periodically, signaling potential hazards and suggesting safe paths. Alex relied on her guidance, recognizing that her knowledge of survival was as vital as his piloting skills. Morning brought a fragile sense of calm. The valley was quiet, the alien scouts having retreated further into the desert. Alex checked the sensors and confirmed that no immediate threats remained. He turned to Naya and gave her a small smile. "We made it through the night," he said. She nodded, returning the gesture with a rare smile of her own. Over the next few days, Alex and Naya worked together to strengthen the ship, gather resources, and chart a safe path back to human territory. Each day, their understanding of each other grew. Alex learned to anticipate her gestures, and Naya began to grasp his intentions. Communication, once a barrier, became a bridge, built on shared experience and trust. One afternoon, while they rested under the shade of a rocky overhang, Alex asked about her people. Naya pointed to the distant mountains and then made sweeping gestures with her arms, as if describing nomadic movements and tribal patterns. She used symbols on the sand to explain her culture, her people's traditions, and their survival strategies. Alex watched in fascination. She was not just a warrior, she was a historian, a teacher, and a guardian of her people's knowledge. Alex shared stories of humanity in return, drawing sketches of Earth, describing the cities, oceans, and landscapes he had seen. Naya listened intently, her eyes wide with curiosity. Though their languages were different, the stories created a connection stronger than words. They were two beings from different worlds, finding common ground through shared experience and mutual respect. As they prepared for the final leg of their journey back to human territory, the bond between them was undeniable. Alex knew that their survival depended not only on skill and technology, but on the trust they had built. Naya had saved his life, guided him through danger, and taught him the value of instinct and courage. In turn, he had given her safety, support, and companionship. Together, they had faced the unknown and emerged stronger. The journey back was tense but manageable. Alex piloted the ship with Naya's guidance, avoiding dangerous terrain and potential ambushes. They moved swiftly, efficiently, their partnership seamless. Each maneuver, each decision was a testament to the power of collaboration across cultures and species. When they finally reached human outpost territory, Alex contacted the authorities and guided the ship safely to a landing bay. Emergency crews rushed to their aid, but Alex waved them off. Focusing on Naya, she had recovered enough to stand, supported by Alex. The outpost personnel were astonished by her appearance, her warrior armor, and her calm, commanding presence. Alex finally turned to her, gratitude and admiration in his eyes. "We did it," he said. Naya's amber eyes met his, and for the first time, she spoke a single word he could understand. "Together." In that moment, Alex understood the true meaning of the word. It wasn't just about survival. It was about trust, courage, and the bond that forms when two beings face impossible odds and choose to protect each other. Humanity, he realized, was not just defined by technology or strength. It was defined by heart, intellect, and the courage to connect across the universe. As Naya stood beside him, ready to meet the human authorities, Alex felt a sense of pride and wonder. He had rescued an alien warrior, but in the process, he had discovered something far greater: the power of collaboration, the strength of trust, and the brilliance of humanity in action. They had faced danger, uncertainty, and fear, and yet together they had overcome it. The universe was vast and unknown, but Alex knew one thing with certainty: as long as humans could adapt, trust, and act with courage, no challenge was